Welcome again to another edition of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. Well, today I'm going to make my mother's macaroni and cheese. Now, if you think this is a type of macaroni and cheese you'd get at a Seoul restaurant or a barbecue joint, it's not that kind of mac and cheese. This mac and cheese is a complete dinner. This is what we would have for dinner, just this mac and cheese. And it's a little odd from what you would think mac and cheese was, what my mom called it, but it includes tomatoes, it includes milk, it includes butter, salt and pepper, and only one type of cheese, block sharp cheddar cheese. She always used Cracker Barrel. I couldn't find Cracker Barrel. So instead, I've got a different brand of sharp cheddar cheese, but you want to use a block and grate it yourself. You don't want to buy the cheese that's already grated because that has some powdery stuff in it to keep the cheese from separating, and sometimes it doesn't melt as good. Now, this mac and cheese, the side story of this is that when I would come home from school and I would see my mom making this, it was like, I don't like this mac and cheese. I mean, it's okay, but it's not my favorite. But it was my father's favorite, my mother's favorite, my two sisters' favorite, my wife's favorite, my family's favorite. I'm the only one that doesn't like it. But nonetheless, it was something that my mom created and that she's very proud of. So I'm going to make it for you, and I hope you give it a try. Now, what I'll also do is I'll follow up with a video of what my dad did with it as leftovers that night. He would take some butter and he'd put it in a frying pan and he'd fry this mac and cheese up in that butter. And boy, I was standing there right next to him because I wanted that. Now, that was phenomenal for me. So you'll get that as well as part of this video. But enough of that. Let's get going and make this my mother's macaroni and cheese. Here are your simple ingredients. So my mom would buy a 28-ounce can of whole tomatoes, and then she would crush them by hand like this. She did this for some other various dishes, and you're going to want to do the same. Don't use diced tomatoes. I mean, you could, but it doesn't give the same sporadic texture that you get with the mac and cheese that this gives you. So for making this, I'm using a Dutch oven, a cast iron Dutch oven. My mom, she used Corningware with a glass top on it, and it was roughly the same size. I wish I had that. I would like to use that, but I don't. So here's how my mom used to layer this. She used to take some of this mac and cheese, or macaroni, I should say, and she'd put a layer on the bottom. Then she'd add a layer of cheese. On top of the cheese, she would add some of these tomatoes. She would add some salt, add some pepper, and then she'd add about 5 pats of butter. Then she'd start another layer of the macaroni, the cheese, the tomatoes, the salt and pepper, and 5 more pats of butter. And she would continue doing this until all the macaroni was used up, and she would leave some cheese off to the side for a final topping. Now, after this last layer, my mom would take all the juices from the tomatoes, put that on top, and then she would take the milk, and she'd pour the milk all around the edges to make sure it got all the way down the bottom and pour it all over. And lastly, she would put another layer of cheese on top. We're going to pat this down, take the last 5 or 6 pieces of butter, stick that on top, add a little more salt, a little more pepper. Now it's into a preheated 350-degree oven for between 45 minutes to maybe an hour. I forgot, we have to cover it. Then we're going to stick it in the oven preheated at 350. Now we just wait for everything to melt and mix all together. So it's been 45 minutes. We're going to take a quick look. And oh yeah, that's bubbling. And what we're going to do is we're going to now keep the top off, and we're going to set this in the broiler on high, and we're going to brown this top off. Want to keep an eye on it. We don't want to burn it. So I'm not sure. It might take about 10 or 15 minutes. We'll see when it's done. So it's been about 8 minutes, and it's nice and browned. Here's a closer look. You can see there's that liquid butter around the edges. You can see how nice and brown this is. The tomatoes around there. The crispiness of the cheese I liked. So now it's time to plate. I'm going to grab me some of this crunchiness and even some of the tomatoes, which is the reason why I don't care for this too much. I'm going to give myself some of this great, it's creamy. It really is creamy. It's the way I remember it. And that's all there is to making my mother's very simple and very quick version of macaroni and cheese. Loved by everybody in our family, except for me, and even a lot of our friends. Matter of fact, I haven't found anybody else other than me that doesn't just love this for what it is. So I hope you give it a try. I'm certain that you'll like it. And I hope you come and see me again. Once again, buon appetito from Papa Bojo's Kitchen. Have a great day. Bye.